We've been off the air for a couple weeks due to technical difficulties because my stupid, shitty fucking recorder's not working, but it seems like it's going on right now. As always, I'm Matt Gardner along with Chip Willett. What's going on?
Not much. Just trying to stay warm. It's a little cold down here in DC for change. I'm sure I have no room to talk with you in New York, but it's kind of chilly.
Oh, it's freezing up here, man. I got the heater on in my room. It's going. Let's open up with some NFL. Johnny Manziel entered the game against Buffalo, scored a rushing touchdown, but also fumbled. Now the Browns are thinking about starting Manziel against Cincinnati. They play Cincinnati this week, I think. So,
Yeah, I think so.
so, what's your take, Hoyer or Manziel?
The Browns are poised to possibly make the playoffs for the first time in God knows how long. Why?
2002, since
Huh?
2002.
Still, it's a while. Uh, why are you going to fix something that's not broken? I mean, Hoyer took them to 10-5, and he has one bad game against Buffalo, who is no longer a slouch team, and then you put in Manziel, who, wow, first play of the game, scrambles and gets a touchdown. I mean, I think this year, Hoyer's record has spoke for itself, especially now with what's his name back, Josh Gordon in the mix. I don't know. I don't touch it. What do you do?
If you know my opinion of Manziel, you know that I'll go Hoyer all the way. But my thing is that Hoyer actually didn't really play that well against Atlanta, but they got the W, and then he played awful against Buffalo. Um, I say still start Hoyer. I mean, he's not really the greatest quarterback, but when you have a run game and a good defense, I think we discussed this before. You don't need a good quarterback. If you have a run game and a good defense, you just got to score just enough points to beat the other team. And I think Hoyer's managing the offense pretty decently. It's not Manziel's time. You're at the edge of a play, like you said. You're at the edge of a playoff berth. Why would you sit your starting quarterback that got you there? Because he had pretty much two bad games, but he won one of them. I, if Mike Pettin, that's the coach, right? Mike Pettin for Cleveland. If he
Yeah,
if he benches Hoyer and they don't make the playoffs, he probably won't last a year. I know you got Manziel and stuff. I wouldn't keep him. If I'm the Browns and I'm their GM, I'm done, gone. See ya. I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna keep a guy who's in the middle of a playoff, like you said, in the middle of a playoff berth, and they're right there. They're essentially a game out. So
and with the way the AFC North is going, that could be anything. I mean, Ravens lost a heartbreaker to San Diego. Steelers barely came back and still lost, but they came back against New Orleans. So I mean, that division's in turmoil right now. Not as much as the NFC East, but that I mean, you have the chance for Cleveland to actually make the playoffs. I just don't think he touched them. Plus, just like you, I'm not a Manziel fan. Reminds me of another quarterback we'll touch on later on.
well, let's segue into that. You're wanting to talk about RG3, don't you?
No, actually, you know what? I didn't have to stream a game. Me and my wife went out to lunch and watched the game at a bar, so I actually got to watch the Redskins game. And I don't want to talk about RG3. I want to talk about how it's not RG3's fault, or sorry, Robert Griffin III's fault. Um, our secondary is atrocious. We had six blown coverages. We now, I think I was listening to ESPN 980, and they were saying that we have now given up six touchdown passes over like 40 yards. Only team to do it in the past 54 years. That's not a problem with the quarterback. That's the defense. We're suspect of defense. I was mad when they got rid of Bakari Rambo, but now it seems that everyone else that was drafted before Bakari Rambo is now crap in the bed. And then you also do have to put it on the offensive line. I mean, Colt McCoy got sacked, I think, 5 times, but the guy also in the second half threw for 397 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's pretty good. So you give him an offensive line, you give Robert Griffin III an offensive line, you're going to be in business. So I'm not fully giving up on Robert Griffin III. I've given up on Cousins though. He needs to go somewhere. I'll be happy with Robert Griffin III and Colt McCoy, honestly.
I think with Cousins, if you wanted to trade him, you should trade him last year. This year he played absolutely awful. If you're gonna trade him, you maybe will get a 6th, 7th round pick out of him, maybe, or you could just release him flat out and see if someone picks him up. But
I know they need a quarterback in St. Louis, even though they just put up 52 on.
um,
What they put up 52 on Oakland?
yeah, but it's Oakland, and the thing is they do still got Sam Bradford, and Sean Hill is playing pretty good. So I mean, I don't think
If they were going to make the pool for him, they would have made the pool for him when Bradford got hurt before they went to Sean Hill when he was doing okay.
Yeah.
And that would have been week 2 of the season this year.
So yeah, I want to talk again about how these referees in this NFL is they're awful. And I know I've been bitching and complaining about the Bucks the refs losing these games, and it sounds like I'm bitter, and it sounds like I'm making excuses for the team for being 2-11 and being or 2-10 and being so bad. But the thing is, they're not that bad. And literally, I'm not joking. 4 games the refs have blown for the Bucks this year on 4 horrific calls. And Sunday, I was pissed. Bucks driving again. Get into field goal range. They're at like the 20-yard line with like 12 seconds left. And they had 12 men on the field. They did. The refs didn't call it. They didn't call it. They did have 12 men on the field, though. I'll give the benefit of the doubt. It was an illegal play. But the refs didn't call it. So, Marvin Lewis throws the challenge flag, which you cannot do under 2 minutes. You can't do that because everything under 2 minutes is reviewed. Yeah. So Bucks had no timeout, so that's a timeout. They give up a timeout. And then they go on the speaker and say the play cannot be reviewed. I'm like, sweet. Bucks have kicked the field goal now. They're down 14-13. It's got a 16-14 win and be still 2 games out of the division. But hey, then they review it anyway. They call it 12. Yeah, they review it anyway. Call the play, a penalty on the Bucks, takes them out of field goal range with no timeouts left, and then they lost.
Okay, yeah, that shouldn't have happened. Like I said, I didn't watch the game, but that, yeah, in the last 2 minutes of the game or of the half, all calls must go upstairs to be reviewed. I didn't think that one was even a reviewable call. Too many men on the field.
It wasn't until this year that you can review that. Which it was, they did. They had 12 men on the field. I'm not going to deny that. But literally, the ref said over this through his mic saying this play cannot be reviewed 1st and 10 bucks. And Cincinnati's charged with a timeout for trying to challenge the play under 2 minutes. And then Bucks about ready to, as soon as like they snap the ball, this is the second time this has happened in 3 weeks. They snap the ball, and then the refs are like, oh, the play's under review. You can't do that. Once you snap the ball, it doesn't matter where it comes from. As that ball is snapped, you cannot review that play. That's another thing.
If you can find that and send it to me, I want to see the exact play, and then I can go with it. Because like I said, I didn't see it, but yeah, as soon as that ball is snapped, you cannot call it unless the ref is buzzed.
Even if the ref is buzzed, I don't care. He has to blow that whistle before that ball is snapped. I don't care if he's buzzed 5 minutes before. He has to. It's the whistle. It's not when the ref's buzzed. This is the second time in 3 weeks. The Bucks legitimately should be 6-6 right now. Legitimately.
They're right?
No, they're not. Not anymore.
Oh, they're not.
They're 3 games out now. 3 games out with 4 to play, or 3 to play. 3 or 4 to play. No, they're out. They should legitimately be 6-6 right now and be on top of this division. Legitimately.
The division's horrible.
It is, but actually, let's actually talk about talk about the NFC, and I want to get your and especially NFC South. I want to get your opinion on this. It's
All right.
possible that the NFC South can have a division winner at 6-10 this year. It's possible, even though the Saints and Falcons each got to win one game, or even 5-11.
Mm.
I've had a lot of debate with people. Should should the NFL change the rules and either A, not let them in, or B, not let them host a playoff game?
Well, here's the thing. The rule's not going to be changed till next year if it's changed at all. But we had, what was it, 2 years ago? Same thing happened with St. Louis. It was 5-10 and won the NFC West.
Seattle, and they were 7-9.
No, I thought there was a time when there was a 5-10 Rams team.
Nope.
Oh, but it's the same thing. I mean, and I don't feel if you have a losing record, you should be in the playoffs, honestly. But that's just me. I mean, if you you have to have a certain amount of wins in order to make a bowl game, which is considered playoffs in college football. Well, was considered playoffs, but now they actually do have playoffs. But you still have to win a certain amount of games. That means you have to be above 500 in order to make a bowl game. So I definitely don't like the fact that they get home field advantage, but they have won their division. So if you do win a division, you got to be rewarded something for it. It's a catch-22 if you ask me.
I have no problem with a under 500 team making the playoffs if they won their division. No problem. It's going to happen again. And it's going to happen probably in the next couple of years again. Because look at the NFC West. People say that division is horrible. It's going to be 5 or 6 years before that division is good. And now it's the best division of football like 2 or 3 years later.
Yeah, with the Cardinals and then not the 49ers, but with the Cardinals and the Seahawks and Rams getting some win under them.
Even the 49ers and the Rams, yeah. It's the toughest division in football. And the NFC South has never had a repeat champion since the realignment of 2002. Not one single team is repeated as the NFC South champion. That division is legitimately tough. I don't have a problem with it. I really don't. As long as they win their division. And as far as hosting a home game, they should absolutely host a home game. They won their division. What's the point of if they win their division and have to go on the road? There's no point in winning your division then. There's no point. You're not getting rewarded for it. You're getting punished. And people are like, oh, but what about these like the 11-5 team that has to go to like the 7-9 road the 7-9 home team? That's not fair to them. It absolutely is fair to them. Just because they play in a tougher division. If you're 11-5 and their team's 7-9, it don't matter where you play. You should beat them.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you play. And this is my argument with it too. It's no different than an 8-8. It's no different than an 8-8 division winner hosting a 10-6 or 11-5 wild card. It's the same thing. The same thing. You cannot make an argument against that because it's legitimately the same thing. Just because one team has a lower record and they won their division, they should host a playoff game. It doesn't matter what their record is. That's just me, though.
Okay, I see where you're coming from.
There's absolutely no point if you take away that. The team who wins their division because they're thinking about if they do that, they have to reseed the whole thing and have the top seeded team. You know, obviously 1 and 2, but then you're going to have to say, like, say the Rams, or not the Rams, say the Cardinals win their division and the Seahawks go 10-6. And say the Falcons and the Saints, they go 6-10. Even though the Falcons won the division and the Rams the wild card, the higher seed would be the Seahawks. That would. There's no point in winning your division now. No point. Yeah. There's no point. And I hear a lot of people, on the internet going, they should get rid of their divisions. No, they should not get rid of their divisions. And I talked to Brandon about this. I think they should add 2 more teams to the playoffs. He's like, oh, that's like over half the league. NHL does it. NBA does it. Why can't the NFL? Oh, it's something different. It's no different.
Well, it's not different in the fact that you'd have the same amount of teams. It's the difference in the size of the schedules.
No, it's not. No way. It's the same. You're playing the same games. You're literally playing the same games. You add 2 more teams. Those 1 and 2 seeds that get buys, they play the division. They play the wild card weekend.
Odds are that is going to happen.
Odds are
they're going to go to an 18-game season. I see both of those happening.
No, and if they go to the 18-game season, they just get rid of two preseason games.
Yeah.
And they add 8 teams, you literally are not. It's the same schedule. You are not overextending the schedule at all. It's the same time period.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Because the 1 and 2 seeds will play in the wild card round, which will probably be called just like the first round or something.
Mm-hmm.
You're not extending it any longer than it is. And the teams that bits with like the Cardinals last year at 10-6 didn't make the playoffs. So, and I think wasn't it last year Green Bay won the division like 8-7-1? So, I mean, to me it's the same thing. You can't bitch about a team with a losing record hosting a playoff game when teams with lower records always most likely about 50% of the time host teams that don't have the better record, who had the better record. So it's the same concept to me. Anyway, you want to talk a little bit more about the NFC?
I just want to say, how crazy it is this year. The Cardinals are just running away with the NFC this year. Got 2 horrible, horrible teams in the NFC East in Washington and New York. And then you have the fact that you got Eagles and Dallas. At first, I didn't think that there were going to be 2 teams from the NFC East in the playoffs. But now I do see it could happen. I see it could be Philadelphia and Dallas, as much as that pains me to say.
Right now, Dallas is out of the playoffs. There's only 1 team from the NFC East.
Right now, but that could change.
It could.
Dallas has got to come back to Washington, and they'll probably kill us there. So, but I don't know. We always play our best against Dallas, but it's just the NFC this year. It's just it's mind-boggling, where people are. I'm trying to bring up the standings right now.
Green Bay's 9-3. I think they're the number 1 seed.
Mm-hmm.
The Cardinals, I think, are 9-3 also. Or 8-4.
Philadelphia is 9-3, Green Bay is 9-3, and Arizona is 9-3, and then you've got Atlanta at 5-7.
Well, Arizona, they're falling. Drew Stanton just can't. He doesn't put up enough points. The defense is kind of unstoppable, but they broke against Atlanta Sunday. Matt Ryan wasn't playing worth crap, and all of a sudden he. But, the NFC is kind of weird. You have a shit division, and then you have, the NFC North. You got 2 good teams. The NFC West. You got 3. Even St. Louis is playing dominating defense.
St. Louis, if they were in your division, they'd be tied.
What are they, 5-7?
Yep.
So it. And then the NFC East. I kind of figured Philly, Dallas kind of. They can still go 8-8. They can still go 8-8 this year. So you never know. But yeah, it's a weird division. All right, we were going to talk about this last show, but we got rudely interrupted with technical difficulties. Ray Rice is reinstated.
Yeah, he is, and I saw there are a few teams that are interested in him. You know what? Just let him play.
Oh, I agree. The teams
I'm tired of hearing about the whole situation. It's over and done with. Yeah, I apologize for it. Whatever. Let's just get on with the game.
And Adrian
I'm tired of all this other stuff on the outside.
Isn't Adrian Peterson reinstated too? No, he's not. He's suspended for Because we were talking about that too. I don't remember if we touched on it in our last show,
Yeah,
but
we touched on the last show that got rudely interrupted, but yeah, no, he suspended till April 2015 as of right now. That could change. Who knows?
uh,
There's talks about him possibly going other places, and there's talks about Minnesota wanting him back. So it's just going to be a sit and wait type of off season, I guess.
I don't think Minnesota's going to take him back. They're saying the right things about we really want him back. He's not that bad of a guy, but underneath they're like, we can't wait to see what trades we get during the draft day. We can't wait. They're salivating over there. They are.
Yeah,
And that's exactly what's going to happen. I mean, would you want Adrian Peterson, who missed pretty much this whole season, or would you want T.J. Yeldon?
that's a good point. But then again,
So
it's hard to tell because T.J. Yeldon could be a bust, just like Robert Griffin III is. Well, it has been, but his is mainly involved in injuries. But then again, you also got we can talk about this a little more in the a college football part of the program. But I did just see that yesterday on Mark Rick's podcast, he announced that Todd Gurley will be headed to the NFL next year.
that doesn't surprise me.
Nope, and Nick Chubb will be a year behind him. He'll be there next year, or 2 years from now. I'm sorry.
But the couple teams I heard about going back to Rice, a couple teams I heard about him was the Colts, who's like, we don't have any interest in him, but they do. That they need a running game, especially for a playoff push. And the Cardinals, which surprises me because Andre Ellington was doing really good till about halfway through the season. He just really hasn't done nothing since. I want my Bucks to sign him, just because we need a running game.
Are they even in the talking?
No, Bucks won't sign him. They won't.
I mean, the Saints were talking, but now I heard they're not interested.
That makes no sense because they got 3 fucking running backs. Why would they want Rice?
So he's not there to beat them?
Makes no sense. You got Mark Ingram.
I just saw a meme that says, "So Ray Rice beats his wife and can still play football, yet I'm still banned from the baseball." And it's Pete Rose.
Rose Bennett, yeah. Yeah. One last thing with the NFL here before we go back to it with our picks. Jim Harbaugh. Rumors out there saying that if he misses the playoffs this year, the 49ers are thinking about trading him. I didn't think you could trade a coach anymore after the John Gruden thing, but I guess you can.
Yeah, no, you can. It's still allowed.
So,
and I heard the Jets are one of the pursuers, and the Raiders. Those are the 2 names that are being shopped.
Honestly, I have a friend who's a 49ers fan, and he actually made a good point about this. He goes, I don't think he's going to the NFL. If they don't make the play. He's going to Florida or Michigan.
Especially now with Brady Hoke. Yeah.
And you go, so, I mean, 2 great schools. He's a great college coach. He's a great coach to begin with, so it's going to be interesting for sure. But the thing is, if the NFL... is he still under contract after this year? I don't think he is.
No, his contract's up.
So how can they trade him if his contract's up?
They'll trade him before the contract's up.
Oh. But then he'll have to do like a sign and trade, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think he'll do that. I think he'll go to either Florida or Michigan. And to be honest with you, I think he'll go to Florida.
Yeah.
Just to be like, you know what? I can coach in the SEC.
And then he'll get stomped, but that's besides the point.
All right. Moving along. Let's talk about some NHL.
All right.
What's the Caps doing?
You know what? I mean, we go on streaks that were good, and then we go on streaks that we suck. Like we had one of our best played games. I think of the season was before Thanksgiving against the Islanders, where the Islanders beat us in overtime. But Hopi looked great. The defense looked great. They would just look solid. And then the next night, well, not Thanksgiving night, but the night after, we won 5-2. Kuznetsov had a goal. He was looking good. He's looking good on that second line, I think. And then we cracked the bed against Toronto of all teams, 6-2. I don't know what it is. I know we got the Canucks in about an hour and a half. just I know it's early in the season still, but you got. I was talking to my dad about this yesterday. You've got to be able to string in a line of wins. We're not going to go into losses. We'll go to that in a minute with another team in the NHL. But you have to be, especially in the Metropolitan Division, you have to be able to string in lines of wins together. 7 wins in a row, 5 wins in a row, a couple losses sprinkled in, yes, but you've got to have streaks. It is a very streaky division. You got the Islanders, who are surprising the hell out of everybody, who I think in the past 10 games are 5-3 or 5-6-3-1, and the Caps were second best in that, but that was before the Toronto game. But you got a streaky Islanders team, you got a streaky Penguins team, you got a streaky Rangers team. They all win in streaks. That's one thing the Capitals need to get through their thick head in order to be able to hang to the division, which I always wanted them to return to. I call it the Patrick Division 2.0. But those are the teams that I hated growing up. Flyers, Devils, Rangers. But when we were in the Southeast Division, everyone's like, oh, the Caps got an easy skate through, which we did. But now, of course, Tampa Bay is improving, but they're now in a division where they have to improve in order to be able to make it. They're in your division, right? With Boston and Ottawa and Montreal and Toronto and Detroit, right?
Oh, Tampa?
Yeah. It's Carolina's in our division.
Maybe, I'm not sure.
I'm just saying.
They are. They are.
We need to be a more streaky team. I really think that the move for Trotz, I'm still behind it. It was a great move. I like what he's done with Mike Green and a couple other players. But I was talking to my dad, and I was just like, you know what? I really think it's Leonsis. Leonsis is the one, just like how with the Redskins, it's Snyder. There's always a problem. And they're calling the shots, even though they say they're not. They're the ones calling the final shots. So, I don't know. After this year, if the Caps don't do anything, I say get rid of Leonsis. He's doing wonders with the Wizards. Let him do it with the Wizards. How they doing, Phil?
They're streaky, but they win one, they lose one. They win one, they lose one. They're 14-10-1. Right now, they're a wild card team. Just injuries, man. The injuries are still hurting them. We're on a Western road string right now. We lost to the Ducks 3-2 last night, even though Ras played really good. We play the Kings tonight, the Sharks, and then we play Arizona, and then we go back home. But Rask is playing good. It's just he's giving up a couple goals. We had to recall or bring up Greg Cunningham to the main roster here, but he didn't play against the Ducks. But yeah, they just need to. They same with the Cats. They need to put some wins together. They're close. Once we get Chara back, and Chara and Krejci didn't even make the trip out west.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Torrey Krug's been meh. Marchand scored a goal last night, but he's been banged up. We just need to get help from. Normally, our strengths is our freaking third or fourth line, and they're not doing anything. It's always been the Bergeron line and the Marchand line, the top two lines. Mm-hmm. They're just not. The bottom two lines are doing nothing. So I mean, and that's normally the strength of the Bruins. But what you gonna do?
So I mean, I'm sitting here looking at the standings. You got Tampa Bay, Montreal, and Detroit, the top three in the Atlantic Conference. You got Pittsburgh, New York, and New York, top three in the Metropolitan Conference. You got Nashville, who's tearing it up right now. They're 16-5, and the Capitals made a trade that brought Martin Erat from Nashville, and I thought was going to be a good play. But this young guy, Philip Forsberg, which we all knew he would be good when he came to Washington, he's just blowing up down there. Get a chance to look at him. He's a rookie. Well, this is his first actual full season. But you got Nashville and St. Louis, who that's an interesting segue into our next subject, and then Anaheim and Vancouver. I mean, it's just you see San Jose, they're 11-10, Los Angeles 12-7, Calgary 15-8. I mean, this is just like if you asked most hockey fans at the beginning of the year how teams would be doing, you wouldn't see Colorado at 9-11. you would see Columbus at 7-15, but you wouldn't see Colorado at 9-11, especially
And
after
I had
winning
yeah,
the
and I
Central last year.
yeah, and I had Colorado as in the Stanley Cup final last year. So I mean, but it is interesting. It's just teams are so good that you just you just don't know who's going to be good from year to year. You know that you're going to have like Montreal and Boston and Chicago and even LA's had a down year, but even they're still there, and even the Sharks in the regular season. Those teams are going to be there in the regular season. It's just the postseason is just so unpredictable, and that's why I love hockey. It's
Oh,
so
I fully agree
unpredictable.
with you. Yes.
Um, Martin
Well,
Brodeur's back.
yeah, I was like, we just did talk about St. Louis. I love it. I love the fact that he's back, and I love the fact that he's back with a new team. I mean, he had a great career in New Jersey. I know I have a lot of friends that were on my Facebook saying, "Hey, man, he's wearing a what jersey?" They wouldn't give him a chance. I mean, Corey, no, shoot, who's the goalie? Schneider
Yep,
is
Corey
doing really
Schneider.
good for New Jersey, but I mean, now the who was it? Was it Ellis that got hurt? What was the goalie? Elliott got hurt. Brian Elliott. It's perfect chance for Broder to step in. I think it's great. It's going to be good to see him back on the ice. It's going to be odd seeing him in a Blues jersey, but definitely a good move. What do you think?
Um, See how it works. I mean, it's really little risk. He only signed for 75,000, so it's little risk, high reward. I mean,
Yeah,
so why not? Sure, see how it does. If St. Louis can get some great goaltending, they can score with T.J. Oshie. So it's a interesting team. Um, Gordie Howe. Let's talk about him a little bit. He's been in the hospital lately. Was he 86 years old? Mr. Hockey.
uh, yeah, I think 86 years old. Yes,
He had a couple strokes, I
yeah,
guess.
major one yesterday, and it's got him in intensive care. Can't
Yeah,
He can barely talk now. It's a bad situation. I mean, my prayers go out to him and his family and the whole hockey world because this guy really made hockey to what it is today.
it
To a
was.
point.
He was. If people like I didn't. I've been studying my hockey. I like I said I haven't really watched it for many years, but I'm studying. He was like the Wayne Gretzky before Wayne Gretzky of
Yes,
of of his time. So he was obviously one of the greatest of all time. Won 4 Stanley Cups with Detroit. So it is a sad situation. So yeah, that's excuse me. That's pray he gets better. Let's see him walk around a little bit. All right.
you do know what a Gordie Howe hat trick is, right?
No, what is it?
That's a goal, an assist, and 5 minutes for fighting.
Nice.
Yep.
One last tip out of the NHL. The Oilers, man. The Oilers.
Wow. And Andrew Ferentz called him out saying everyone has to be 100% accountable, which I fully agree with.
Which I love.
And
Which I love because he's a former Bruin. He won the Stanley Cup with them. I love
mhm,
him being.
he's a great player.
I love him being there. Yeah, I miss him in Boston. Trust me.
Yeah. But here's the thing you have so much goddamn talent in Edmonton. You've got Ryan Nugent Hopkins. You've got Taylor Hall. You have Justin Schultz. You have a scrapper in Matt Hendricks. You have another former Capital, Boyd Gordon. We also Pinizzotto, who used to be a Washington Capitals prospect. You got Andrew Ferentz for crying out loud. You should be fucking tearing up the West Conference,
Their
and you're
goaltending.
not.
Their goaltending is probably the like I said, I started watching hockey around 2008, 2009. It's probably the worst goaltending I've ever seen from a team. Ever since I've been
Wait,
watching hockey.
who is their goalies? I forget. Let me check
I don't
that.
even know. I don't even know who their goaltender is because I don't. It's been bad. That's all I know.
It's just, I mean, well, who's at fault here? Oh yeah, I even forgot about Jordan Eberle, another good young prospect. But is it the team's fault? Is it the coach's fault? Oh, it's
Who's their
Victor's fault.
Who's their coach?
Dallas Eakins.
Never
Yeah,
heard of him.
their goalies are Victor Fost, who was awesome in L.A., and then Ben Scrivens, who was good in, I think he was in Toronto.
So they're two. So they're pretty much two backups trying to fight for one spot.
Yeah,
Um, maybe
but
there's a
I
reason.
mean,
Maybe there's a reason why they're
whose fault is it?
backups. It,
Is it the goalie's fault? I mean, is it? Well, yeah, it is goalie's fault, but is it?
giving up the goals.
Is it
But it could
coach's
be.
fault?
But see, I haven't really watched an Oiler. I can't even talk today. An Edmonton. There we go. Edmonton's a game by them. Jeez, I just totally fucked that up. I haven't watched an Oilers hockey game this
This
year,
year?
so it could be their defense could be failing in front of the goalie too. So, you know, I don't know about any of that. But yeah, they do on paper they have a good team. Maybe it's chemistry. Maybe their lines are what they're supposed to be. Obviously, the goaltending's horrible. Maybe it's a combination of everything. Maybe their coaching's
I mean,
just
they got
awful.
Nikitin. They've got Andrew Ference. I'm looking at the team. Teddy Purcell, Arcabello, Benoit Pouliot. These are guys who were making a name on the teams that they were on last time, and now nothing. It was good to see Penizato and get a chance in the NHL, though, so I'm glad to see that being a Hershey Bear fan. So, yeah, let's go ahead and wrap up 6-15-4. That's definitely a staple in that conversation for the NHL.
All right.
All right, what's next?
Let's do this basketball shit. Let's get this shit out of the way with. Coach K won his 990th game the other night against Army, which is fitting because the first team he ever coached was Army. I'm a Duke fan, so I have to mention it.
Yeah, I'm definitely not. But hey, we don't have to worry about us having the division rivalry anymore now that Maryland is in the Big Ten.
That's true. Backed out. Let's go to the NBA. Let's go to the NBA. Just get this out of the way with. Kevin Durant returns tonight against New Orleans, being out 6 weeks with a fractured foot. And
I didn't know that.
What?
I didn't know he was at 6 weeks.
Yeah, I don't care. And the 76ers are on a 17-game losing streak to start the season. I think if they lose to Minnesota their next game, they will break the record.
Awesome. I don't know, man. I mean, Sixers, the Wizards have always owned the Sixers, but now it's just a little more owning them. So, well, whatever.
Well,
got a 10-game winning streak in the NHL. Why not have a 17-game losing streak in the NHL? Why not have one in basketball?
Well, they're young. I mean, I think I read an article to where there's only one player that has 2 or more years of NBA experience on that team. There's one player over 2 years, 2 or more, which is probably they're saying 2. So I mean, they're young. So I think they'll get better over time, but not right now.
Yeah, but it's Philadelphia, man. How much time are they going to give? You know how ornery that sports town is.
There's a meme on Facebook that says Sixers are going to lose every game this season. Cleveland still gets number 1 pick. Well, and you tell me that the NBA isn't rigged. God, 3 out of 4 years. It worked perfectly. 3 out of 4 years, they get the number 1 pick. Oh, look, who's back? Oh, LeBron. It's not like we planned that or nothing. All right,
Yeah,
don't let me talk about LeBron.
Let's not go there.
Let's talk about a real sport in baseball. A tough guy sport in baseball. Yes, I call baseball more tougher than basketball. Let's talk about my Red Sox. You know, it's been old news, but they signed Hanley Ramirez and Pablo Sandoval.
He went for the donuts. We all know that.
There's Dunkin' Donuts everywhere in Boston.
Sure.
Everywhere. And there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, they overpaid for both of them." I think they underpaid. Ramirez they signed for $88 million. Sandoval I think is $98 with some incentives like a signing bonus. So yeah, and the thing I want to talk about is I was thinking what are they going to do with Xander Bogaerts? Are they going to move him to first? What does that mean with Napoli? What's Napoli going to do? Hanley Ramirez is going to left field. So Sandoval will be at third. You have Bogaerts at short, which is where he should be. It's his natural position. You got Pedroia at second, and you got Napoli, who is a free agent, but I think they'll re-sign him. Napoli at first. That is an awesome infield, I think.
Yeah, no, that's definitely good infield.
But it's the outfield I'm worried about because you got Ramirez in left. You got Jackie Bradley Jr. possibly in center, and who are you going to have in right? You got freaking a butt ton of. You have a butt ton of outfielders on that team. Oh, Sepsidis. You got Sepsidis.
Yeah.
You got Sepsidis. Sepsidis can play fucking right.
He's a center fielder mainly, isn't he?
What?
Isn't he a center fielder?
If he could play center field, just fucking move Jackie Bradley Jr. to right. I like that team, even though I think they're going to trade Jackie Bradley Jr. I think they're going to trade Sepsidis, even though they got him mid-season last year. They're going to probably trade, the hell's his name? Mookie Betts. I think they're going to trade, they got to trade Will Middlebrooks, which I was high on, because I saw him play in a minor league game, and he tore it up. Then he went to the MLB and went to the major leagues and just did nothing. So I think they're going to get rid of Middlebrooks. But that's a lineup I like. If they keep Sepsidis, put him in center, move Jackie Bradley Jr. to right, Hanley Ramirez in left, you have David Ortiz as the DH. Catcher's another thing that I'm iffy about. But if they sign Lester, they're going to re-sign David Ross. They already said that, and I like David Ross. He's kind of like... He's kind of like Lester's personal catcher, at least when he was in Boston, and he just makes Lester so much better. Catcher, I don't even know who we have as catcher. I honestly don't even know who we have as catcher, but I think we just become better. We just need pitching, and I hope we sign Lester. And speaking of Lester, this is not good. The Cubs made an offer to him for 6 years, $138 million.
Whew.
Theo Epstein is not joking around.
Wasn't Theo Epstein a member of Boston, or was it New York? Who was he with?
Boston. He was Boston.
That's what I thought, yeah.
You there?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
All right, I heard a click. But, that's a big offer. That's a big offer. I don't know if Lester could turn down that money. If not, hopefully we get Max Scherzer. I doubt it. And then we'll have to settle with either James Shields or trade some of these people away to get Cole Hamels, which I'm not really high on in the American League. So,
well, I mean, remember when James Shields was the shit and he was supposed to be the one coming out? Him and David Price is a 1-2 punch. And then now James Shields was relegated to Kansas City, where he helped turn around that pitching staff. But still, he's like a name that you don't even think of that often anymore.
No. And Jake Peavy, when he was with San Diego, he was good. When he was with the White Sox, he was good. So when he went to the Red Sox, I'm like, he's pitched to the American League. He could do good. He did awful. Won a World Series, and then we traded him midseason to the Giants, and all of a sudden he's like the old Jake Peavy from San Diego. It's like, what?
He didn't like Boston.
It's like, what? But, yeah. Let's talk about your A's. Or not your A's, I'm sorry. Let's talk about your Orioles.
Ugh.
The M's signed Nelson Cruz. I was surprised. I think we talked about. I think they were going to keep Cruz. The Orioles were going to keep Cruz, but they didn't.
Yeah, he wanted 5 years. He wanted more than 3 years. Orioles wouldn't budge on 3 years. He goes to the Mariners for 4 years. It gives them a much-needed bat, but they need a lot more help than just a bat in Seattle.
I don't think so. Their pitching staff's surprisingly decent.
Well,
they need a bat. They got
the king.
Well, there's a couple. I don't remember their names. There's a couple solid young pitchers behind him. I'm not saying they're great or nothing, but they can give you a win. No, I mean, they needed a DH, and they got one in Nelson Cruz. So, I mean, I think...
Yeah, the Orioles needed a DH, too. Well, I mean, you got Delman Young, but Delman Young's not
Nelson Cruz. What about Nick You told me this today. What about Nick Markakis? He may be going to Miami.
Yeah, I read there's a 50-50 chance that there's less than a 50-50 chance that he'll sign with the Orioles, which is not good. Because we're going to lose Cruz, we're going to lose... Markakis, right there. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, we still have Adam Jones, thank goodness, but that takes a lot of the pop out of the lineup, a lot of the speed out of the lineup too. Markakis,
and
Um,
Brandon's favorite player, Brian Roberts, he retired.
yeah, well, yeah, neither here nor there. He ended up as a Yankee, so he was dead to me. That's a big hatred. Even though the Yankee fans don't consider the Orioles and Yankees rivalry, the Orioles consider the Orioles and Yankees a rivalry. So,
Because the Yankee fans are
what?
fickle. I hate Yankee fans. I hate Yankee fans more than I actually hate the Yankees. Because they always bring up the past. And it's like, oh, I got these like 27 rings. I'm like, yeah, what have you done lately? Nothing. You could talk
Just our
about them.
article said they're the worst in the AL East right now.
And I don't know these moves that your O's made, but and this is the thing with the Yankees fans from 1920 to 1960 is when they won their majority of their World Series. They won half the World Series between 1920 and 1960. That's 20. They won 7 from 1903 to 2014. They won 27. All right, World Series. They won from in a 40-year span. They won half of them from the 20s to the 60s. They won 7 since. From actually, they didn't even win a World Series before 1923. I think was their first World Series win. So from the 20s to the 60s was the majority of their World Series, and they only won 7 since. So it's not.
I just reading right now. It says that the Yankees, the Red Sox, and a couple other people are also high on Andrew Miller, who was a Red Sox and came to Baltimore.
He
So there's another one
was.
that could be gone.
We signed him as a closer from Oakland because he was a closer in Oakland. Then he got hurt, had Tommy John surgery. He came back and he pitched like shit. He out of the bullpen, so of course, naturally, let's make him a starter. So made him a starter. He pitched like shit. So they put him
Yeah,
back in the bullpen, and he pitched okay. And then we got rid of him mid-season last year to Baltimore. I wouldn't re-sign him if I'm the Red Sox.
and then the Orioles, he was 2-0 with a 1.35 ERA and one save.
See, but I wouldn't re-sign him if I'm the Red Sox. That's just me. And then a a head scratcher of a trade by Oakland. They trade their best player, Donaldson, to Toronto for Brett Rowley, left-handed pitcher Shane Nolan, right-handed pitcher Kendall Graveman, and minor league shortstop Franklin I can't even read my own writing. Barreto. I think I pronounced that right. If not, whatever. um, that shocked me when I read that.
Well, first they got rid of Cespedes, and now they got rid of Donaldson. I don't know what they're trying to do over there, but it looks like they're just trying to rebuild.
Which makes no sense because they're a playoff team.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, but that division's getting tougher. I mean, besides Houston, you have Seattle's coming up. The Angels played like crap in the beginning, but they ended up with the best record in baseball last year, didn't they? And then
Yeah.
they shit the bed against the Royals. But then you have Oakland, and then the two Texas teams. Texas, I think, had the worst record in baseball last year. I don't know why. It just came out of nowhere. But yeah. So that surprised me. I don't know what Billy Bean's thinking.
What is it called? Sabermetrics?
Yeah.
Is that what it is in the movie Moneyball?
Yeah. So it's just I don't know. It just it
Well,
confuses the
we,
hell out
we
of
got a
me.
few months. We got a few months to debate on that. Let's go on to the next topic.
All right, we're done. That was it for baseball. Let's move to NCAA, where I guess you can call it breaking news because ESPN breaks news 24 hours after it happens. It's still breaking news. Breaking news: Brady Hoke has been fired from Michigan.
Who didn't see this coming?
Brady Hoke.
Okay. Other than the obvious, who didn't see this coming?
He doesn't know how to recruit top athletes. He's recruiting athletes. Where was he from? Where did he coach before? Was it like Northern Illinois?
No, I think it was Northwestern.
I don't know.
Yeah, it might have been Northern. I don't know.
I don't think it was Northern. It
Sure.
was. It was. You checking?
No, but I can. Let's
Okay, I
see.
can too. Hold on. Let me do
I don't
this.
know. I don't really follow Big Ten college football, so I've never been a fan of Michigan at all. Go ahead.
Um, I haven't either. I kind of follow it a little bit though to see what coaches do what and shit like that. Like when Urban Meyer went to
Ohio State after
Ohio
saying,
State.
"Hey, I'm gonna go home with my family for a while," and then boom, Ohio State. What? I don't think it was. I don't think it was West Virginia because the old
Um,
Michigan, to West Virginia.
says he was Ball State and then San Diego State.
Maybe either way, he was only 31-20 with an 18-14 in the Big Ten in 4 seasons. 31-20, not a horrible record. 18-14 in the Big Ten. That's up for discussion. But
Yeah,
yep.
he went to sorry, he head coach San Diego State. He was like the defensive coordinator at Michigan before that. But what I was trying to say is he's recruiting talent to play in like the WAC or the Mountain West instead of the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
It's and that's what Charlie Weiss did too with Notre Dame. He was really good with Willingham's recruits, and he had to recruit himself, and he can't recruit. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, speaking of head coaching firings, Bo Pelini is fired from Nebraska.
Oh, that's right. I did see that yesterday. But let's see, what was how was Nebraska doing? They were in the Big 12, right?
They were in the Big 12, then they moved to the Big 10. Actually, I think he was like 67 and like 20 or something as a coach. But since they moved to the Big 10, he's like 5-15 against top 25 teams.
I mean, it's a big move. Big 12 to the Big 10. That's a huge move. Um, that with a record like that, that's kind of shocking though that they would let him go. But I don't know. Maybe they realized they need a different type of game, and he might not have been willing to teach it in order to survive in the Big 10.
Now we talked about Harbaugh going to maybe Michigan and then Florida. Who's gonna take that Nebraska job? That's I mean, they have a kind of storied program, but who's gonna take that job? I
I
don't
mean,
see.
it's some big shoes to fill because you sit there and you go from the Big 12, and now you're in a huge conference in the Big 10. Who I don't know who would want that job.
I think there's a lot of people that want it. It's just what big name that comes to mind? It's like, you know what? I want to coach in Nebraska. It's not Harbaugh. Harbaugh's not going to coach in Nebraska. Unless they throw him like 10 million a year, which
Well,
they
what
won't.
about Brady Hoke?
Nebraska would be dumb if they hired Brady Hoke. Be dumb.
I don't know. I don't know many. What about Lane Kiffin?
I think he'll stay with Alabama, especially if they win the national championship game this year. I think
Yeah,
he'll stay with Alabama, even though he likes jumping around. But
well, yeah, we
I
know
don't
that.
think he'll do anything. I think he'll stay in Alabama.
I don't know. I think
Um,
we have to. I think we have to wait out the end of the year and see if what other coaches get let go.
or they could do like a coordinator type thing. But I don't.
Yeah, I don't know any big names that are there right now, anyways. So
Um, well, it's not going to be Hugh Freeze. He just signed a
yeah,
he just signed a contract extension with Ole Miss,
yep.
and it's not going to be Spurrier because Spurrier said that he is staying at South Carolina.
I still think he could. I still think that Florida's trying to get him back.
My problem is that I would not take him back if I were Florida because it's kind of the same recruiting area, even though South Carolina's a little bit north, obviously. Kind of the same recruiting area. You're in the same conference, in the same division. You're going to get the same team he's going to have the same team if he's at South Carolina or if he's at Florida. There's no point if I was Steve Spurrier or even Florida. There's no point. Just get Harbaugh or get somebody else and just you'll be perfect for that Michigan job, Bo Pelini. He would be actually. I dig him as the Michigan head coach, but drink. Yeah, I don't think Spurrier should go back to Florida. I mean, if they want him, go up good, but I don't think it'd be dumb on both sides.
Go ahead and talk about how Tennessee just lost their opening opponent in the 2015 season as University of Alabama Birmingham cuts the football program. They weren't FBS, they were FCS, but they just said we don't want to play football anymore.
There's a lot more to that than meets the eye.
I'm sure.
They say it's a cost-cutting measure, but honestly, I don't think they can compete with Alabama recruiting, and that's what the coach says. It's like I can't compete with Alabama recruiting. Which, let's face it, is UAB going to get 5-star recruits? No. That's a bullshit excuse, I think. A lot of people are blaming Alabama actually for UAB shutting down the program, being like, "Oh, Alabama's a big bully here. They don't want them." I don't think it's that. And their facilities aren't good. They don't have the money to put into the program.
What conference are they in? Do you know? Are they CUSA?
They're Conference USA. Yeah, they're Division 1.
Oh, they are? I didn't know.
Conference USA is Division 1.
Oh, that's true because that's where UCF is.
Yeah. So,
I mean, what happens now to Michigan's? I mean, they already have the schedule made for next year. So, who do they get to open up against Tennessee?
They'll find someone. It'll be some like Northwest Southern Tennessee State or something like that.
Yeah, they'll get one of their. Maybe they'll get Tennessee Martin to play them. So I actually got to sit down and watch a Florida State game this year for the first time, and you know what? Jameis Winston is not all everyone cracks him up to be. I watched him. If anything, he was a mediocre quarterback against Florida. And trust me, I hate rooting for Florida, but I wanted to see them lose so bad.
Well,
and they almost did.
The thing with Winston is that he shits the bed in the first half. The whole team does. And I don't understand how they can come back. I'm surprised nobody's put up like a 40 spot on them in the first fucking half. You know what I mean? I mean, their defense isn't that great either, like they were last year. So, and they got really exposed by Auburn in the national championship game. So We'll get in our predictions later about the ACC title game. I'll just leave it at that.
Let's see.
Another thing that makes me kind of mad is that the Big 12, if TCU wins and Baylor wins, they'll both have the same record, and they'll both be presented as co-Big 12 champions. However, Baylor beat TCU head-to-head. Why isn't Baylor the Big 12 champ? Why
they're not going into a tiebreaker scenario?
They should, especially with a playoff. And the only reason they're doing the co-champions because TCU right now is number 5, and the polls come out like they should be coming out now. They'll be number 4. They'll be number 4 because Mississippi State lost last week. That's the only reason why they're doing this. Is to be like, we have a Big 12 champion in the playoff, even though they aren't really the Big 12 champion. That's the only reason they're doing it. And actually, if Florida State loses, and let's say Alabama loses, and Oregon has a tough test against Arizona, who's already beat them this season, I can see Baylor leapfrogging them. I can see Baylor jumping in there. You kind of have to. If one of those teams loses, and this is another debate, If Ohio State lost their starting quarterback, another starting quarterback to a broken ankle. Now they got their third-string quarterback going in to the Big Ten championship game against Wisconsin. What if he shits a brick, but Ohio State still wins?
I guess we'll just have to see.
My thing is, you kind of have to put them in there. Say if TCU loses or one of the teams in the top four lose,
Hmm.
you kind of have to. You're gonna have, unless they're gonna say Baylor, but Baylor didn't play a title game. Ohio State technically earned it. That's what I don't like about this playoff because they won't look sexy enough to be in the playoff. It
Well, it's
doesn't
going to take
matter.
a year. It's going to take a year or two to get a playoff situation
Yeah, they
corrected.
need 8 teams.
Yeah, we've already talked about that. Speaking of playoffs, well, the Missouri. I was watching the Missouri game. I really thought Arkansas had him, but Missouri ended up winning the SEC East. Congratulations to them. And then I don't know what happened to Georgia the other day, but I was watching. I wasn't watching because I was working, but I saw they were winning. They had control of it, and then they lost in overtime. Hudson Mason, good quarterback for his first year. He'll improve next year, and Georgia has one hell of a recruit class coming in, so we're definitely not going to be hurting. But also just read that Gurley, which we all knew this was happening, he's going to be headed to the NFL. Mark Richt announced it yesterday on his podcast. So um, it's going to be. It was good. Georgia will be back, but definitely it was shocking to see them end the season the way they did. I don't know, but
They'll probably be in like the Capital One Bowl or something.
I think right now it's slated for. It's ironic that this would happen. I think they're slated for the Outback Bowl versus. Oh no, it's Capital One Bowl versus Maryland on New Year's Day. But New Year's Day, I probably will be at a hockey game.
Probably. I wonder
Yeah,
what that one would be.
yeah.
All right.
Something outside
Well,
maybe in DC.
let's go to our picks now. Pac-12
Hey,
title
starting off-
game. Pac-12 title game is actually Friday, which I
Yeah,
won't
let
be
me.
able to see. Which I won't be able to see because I'll be going with Sleazy to a wrestling event, but we're not going to talk about that. Number 11
Now,
Oregon. No, sorry, number 11 Arizona versus number 2 Oregon. It's at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara.
okay, 1 second. I'm bringing up the college football picks real quick. There we go, full school road. Okay, Arizona. That is it. That's going to be a good game. It's going to be a really good game. I'm gonna take Oregon.
I will too. Actually, I think Oregon's going to crush them because I think they're going to get
You think they're going to
revenge.
cover? Wow, 14.5 point cover.
I don't. I'm on my phone, so I can't really see the spread. But
Yeah,
um,
14.5 under. Sorry, is the cover line and over under 73.
73. I'll actually take the over, and I think Oregon covers. I think they're going to whop them.
Ooh,
I think they're
man,
going to whomp them. They're going to get that payback, that revenge win. But somehow Arizona's still going to make it to the Rose. But the Rose Bowl is one of the playoff games this year, right? Yeah,
I think so. I don't know. I have to do
they'll
a little
make it
more
to
research.
one of like the Fiesta Bowl or something. All right, since you got the lines, you go ahead and do it.
Okay, Saturday. Oh man, everything starts late. Oh no, we'll go with the early game. We got Iowa State at number 5 TCU.
TCU.
TCU's favored by 33.5 points
Holy shit!
with the with the over under of 67.
Holy shit! Uh,
Iowa State is 2-9 and 0-8 in the Big 12.
they cover, and I'm going over
Yeah, I'm
again.
on that.
Wow.
Let's see. I'm saving the big games for last, the championship games.
All right.
But we got number 12 Kansas State at Baylor. They don't have a lineup for it or an over under.
Ooh.
Yeah, here you go, man. Is this where you're gonna make you? Where are you going with this?
Baylor's number 7, right?
Yep,
I'm gonna
it's
take
at
Baylor.
Baylor.
I'm gonna take Baylor.
I'm going with Kansas State.
All
They're
right.
9-2 and going against the 10-1 team. I'm gonna take Kansas State.
I think Kansas State's only lost to TCU and
They've only lost one game in the Big 12.
then they probably lost to TCU. Yeah, that's right because they lost to Auburn earlier.
Yeah. Okay, next we got Fresno State and Boise State.
That's the Mac-12 title game.
Oh no, shoot, you're right. Okay, let's go with the Oklahoma State and Oklahoma. Oklahoma is favored by 20 points, over under 59.
Over, but they Oklahoma, but they don't cover.
Okay, I'll go the same. All right, now let's get into the championship games. We'll go from the let's see, starting the Mountain West. You got Fresno State versus Boise State. Boise State favored by 20, over under 69.
Under, don't cover, but I'll take Boise State.
I agree. Next we got the Conference USA Championship game. Louisiana Tech at 8-4 versus Marshall at 11-1.
Man, Marshall laid an egg. They would have been to like the Fiesta Bowl too if they went undefeated. Marshall,
They're 12.5 favorites. 12.5 favorites, over under 68.5.
Marshall cover, but under.
Okay. Big Ten championship game. We talked about this a little while ago. You touched on it. Wisconsin at Ohio State. Wisconsin's a 4-point favorite and over under 53
Wisconsin's the favorite.
by 4 points.
Over 53. I will take Wisconsin. I say
You
that
gonna
they.
cover?
I say they cover, and I'll say over.
I'm going the same thing. We're gonna throw some wrenches in this final playoff four. Okay. Next you have the ACC championship game in Charlotte. Florida State 12-0 versus Georgia Tech 10-2, who just came off an impressive comeback, come from behind win against Georgia. Right now, Florida is a 4.5-point favorite, over under 60.5.
Georgia Tech. I I saw the last quarter of that game in the overtime against Georgia. They impressed me. I think Georgia Tech, low scoring game though. I
Yeah,
think
I think Georgia Tech's going to win too. Unfortunately, it's not going to throw off Florida State in the playoffs. I don't think,
no,
but we could see.
it won't.
Um, okay, we got the SEC championship, which is you got number one Alabama versus number 17 Missouri. Right now, Alabama is a 14.5 favorite over with a 48.5 over under.
Over, easily over, and I don't think they cover. But I'm picking Alabama.
So if Georgia was in that championship game against Alabama, do you think Alabama would be favored by as much?
No,
Yeah. All right. I'm definitely going to take Alabama, and I think they're going to throttle them. Definitely covering with the over. And wow, we're getting down to the nitty gritty in the college football season this year.
yep,
All right, next we're down to the NFL.
yep.
Okay, let's go and get that scoreboard. Okay, we're gonna start off. We got. Don't need to have that playing. All right. Bears and Lions. No, wait a minute. Hold up. Why did it send me to that week? Go ahead and back up.
That was Thursday. That was Thanksgiving.
Yeah, why do I have week last week up?
I don't know.
I don't know. Well, do you have the schedule in front of you?
Yeah, I can get it. I won't have the over. I won't have the over unders, but I can get it.
Okay, ESPN's being stupid. Is it? Oh, let's go to week 14. Does that work? All right,
Should
here we
work.
go.
I was gonna say because I just did it. All right,
yeah,
go
I got
ahead.
it. Tomorrow. Well, what's Thursday? What is
Yep.
it? Tuesday today?
Yep.
All right. Thursday, Dallas at Chicago. I don't have the over under either. I'm just going from a different page.
Dallas.
Dallas at Chicago. We
Yeah,
got.
Dallas.
Yeah, Chicago's being throttled. Pittsburgh at Cincinnati.
Oh, the Browns don't play the Bengals. I'm gonna go Pittsburgh.
Yep. I'm gonna go Pittsburgh also. Make that NFC North just a little more interesting. St. Louis at Washington. Ugh.
Excuse me, St. Louis.
Dude, I'm reading. There's 14,028 tickets available from $8 for the Redskins game.
Wish I was in D.C.
Yeah, I know, right? I don't have to work. Maybe I'll make my way up there on Sunday. Giants at Tennessee.
Yeah, the Giants laid an egg against Jacksonville last week. I'm gonna go Giants though.
I'm gonna go Tennessee. I think the Redskins and Giants are gonna be battling to that last spot till the last game of the season. Here's one interest you: Carolina and New Orleans.
New Orleans.
Yeah, because Cam Newton helped me out so much last week in fantasy football. New York Giants at Minnesota. I mean, sorry, New York Jets in Minnesota.
I was gonna say the Giants are playing. Well, they got split squads.
Yeah, they got some squad. That's how bad they are.
Minnesota.
Yeah, Minnesota also. He got what? Giants just lost, or Jets just lost what yesterday to Miami.
Yeah, they were up though. They were up like 13-3. They lost 16-13. They ran 42 times. The Jets ran 42 times, only threw 13 passes.
Speaking of Miami, you got Baltimore and Miami.
Ooh.
Could be the matchup of the week right there. I don't know. The next one's pretty good too.
I'm going Miami.
I'm going to stick with Baltimore. They almost beat the Chargers last week. It was a pretty good game. I don't know how the Flacco could run around the pocket for 6 seconds though. That was illegal, but he did it. Next we have Indianapolis at Cleveland.
Indianapolis.
I'm gonna go Cleveland, and I'm gonna go Brian Hoyer's gonna start.
Unfortunately, Manziel is going to start, but he cannot keep up with Luck. Come on.
No way. Tampa Bay at Detroit.
Detroit.
Yeah, I'm going with Detroit also. You notice how we both picked against our teams this week?
Detroit.
Houston and Jacksonville. Oh, speaking of Houston, man, what about J.J. Watt is just a monster. Did he just get his 5th touchdown of the season this past weekend?
Yeah. Because which is weird because they got Andre Johnson and DeAndre Hopkins, who I have in fantasy, but I have Jordy Nelson, T.Y. Hilton, and Emmanuel Sanders, so I didn't start them. It only would have gotten me 38 points, but whatever. I still won because I was facing Sleazy, who never changes his lineup. But anyway, yeah. Houston.
Yep, I agree. Buffalo at Denver. Now, the Redskins had tickets at $8, and the cheapest ticket at a Denver game is $152. And they're just playing Buffalo.
Denver.
Yep, Denver. Kansas City and Arizona.
I'm going Kansas City.
Yeah, I'll go Arizona, just to make it interesting. Seattle at Philadelphia. I'll get a 425 game there in Philly.
Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle. San Fran at Oakland.
I don't even know. San Francisco, just because it's Oakland.
I'm going with Oakland. They're going to get their second win of the season against the 49ers. New England at San Diego.
Is that a 4 o'clock game?
8:30 Sunday night.
New England.
Yeah, New England. And Atlanta at Green Bay to wind it up on Monday.
Green Bay.
Yep.
That's it for the picks, eh?
Yeah, it's about time.
All right.
Shuffle off.
Anything else you want to talk about?
Just so we did skip the point talking about hockey, how Slava Voinov decided that it was somehow okay for him to practice with the LA Kings, and therefore the LA Kings got fined $100,000.
And what happened to Voinov then?
What do you mean? Why he's suspended?
Oh, I didn't know he was suspended. That's why I was like...
Yeah, he was suspended definitely for the domestic violence.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he He went and just did a team skate, and the Kings got fined $100,000. Smart on them.
Yep,
Yep,
yep.
I think I'm done. You done?
Yeah. All right, for Matt Gardner.
Chip Willett.
Thanks for listening.
Stay easy.